And
300.
oh, John could do some dough here.
Well, I don't think Darren's going to raise. He'll be quite happy just to call. Of course, if the 8 of clubs comes on the river, he's going to be sick.
Darren has to worry right now about the ace of clubs being out there. But like you say, it's a straight flush draw. John has missed. It may go check, check.
Check. Check. I'll check. Check. Showdown, please. Flush. Flush king high.
John Sugars didn't realize he did not want to make that draw, but he didn't. Both Darren and John made a flush, 5 cards of the same suit, but Darren had the king while John held the 10, so Darren took the pot. Gary is under the gun right now, this hand. He's got his chips in a line like little soldiers ready for battle. But Sugar's the warrior here.
Raise to 400.
And 4
Pass.
straight. That's a 4 ball of 400. And the raise is 325 on Paul Davis, who's got a big ace here. And is, well, we saw him make a move with ace queen before. We know he's got the heart. What does he think of this hand?
Well, this is Paul Davis. I mean, he's a school teacher, and we learnt from his heat. He obviously has clear skills at reading people, and he likes to think things through. Doesn't take any rush decisions.
This would be the first pot that he would lock up against John Sugars in. Has he been watching enough to pick up any earmarks from John Sugars' play?
Well, John's done nothing out of the ordinary. He's made a standard raise here. 400. Blinds are 75, 150. Just slightly less than 3 times the big blind.
325 to call. Paul can well afford it. He's and that's what he's going to do. And he's out of position this hand.
Pass.
But the 2 guys going head up here, Paul with the ace, John with 2 overcards, flop to come. Already 950 in here. And this feels like one of those pots that is going to have a big impact on this semifinal.
2 players.
Well, this is poker. They've both flopped nothing. Who's going to take it? Paul watching John, watching Paul, watching John. It's a bit of a Beatles hand. Davis is taking a long time with his decision, but you know he knows the action's on him. He is just waiting and watching. Okay, check.
The key here is the size of the bet, Jesse. 950 in the pot, and this is what John's thinking. If I'm going to represent a pair...
300.
Now, will Paul smell that as weakness or strength? That's a small bet into the size of that pot. He's trying to represent a big pair here, as if he wants to induce a call. Well, of course, Paul took quite a while, didn't he, before he finally just called. And of course John saw this sort of play earlier, and of course he moved all in with the ace queen of clubs. And this time he's pretty sure that his ace isn't that big. He knows he hasn't got an overpair. If he had 6s, 7s or 8s, he'd have bet the flop.
Pass.
He's laid him down. John Sugars was not intimidated. Paul Davis had a lot of thinking to do that hand, but Sugars prevailed. And, well, that may have sent out a message. If John Sugars doesn't care how long you wait, he's going to make his play with the power button. So John Sugars moves into the lead, but how close can you get? This game has become a cagey dance. It's 5 guys circling round the middle, just waiting for the other to make the feint that opens up a juggler vein. And this is unusual. John Sugar's limping in,
Pass.
just calling the 150. Ace-6 suited.
Well, I would have preferred to see John continue raising, showing the aggression. He's allowed the blinds to see a cheap flop here, and I mean, he's got the strongest hand, and really, you know, I don't know what he's scared of. He's chip leader. He could have put a little raise in there and picked
3
it up.
players.
One of the first flops we've seen this level, and a little something for everyone. Bottom pair for Darren, middle pair for Paul, and the nut flush draw for John Sugars. How will this hang?
I'd expect Paul to check here. Is he going to bet out to find out if his 7 is good?
400.
400.
I'll bet about the size of the pot, says the school teacher. An English teacher by trade, but a math student in this pot. And there's no way Sugar's laying down. We saw him play a flush draw earlier, Simon. He called on the
Call.
flop and then raised on the turn. What's he thinking this time? He's trying to hit it.
Well, this is a clever bet by Paul. He's bet half the pot, and really he's priced John out, but John's decided to take
2
off a turn card.
That's paired him. 7s are still ahead, but John has a couple more outs. The 2 6s would
Check.
work. Will he fire?
Well, strategy here, to be honest with you, Jesse, would be just to take the free card.
400.
400.
That's not going to stop Paul calling for sure.
Yeah, Paul Davis doesn't believe this pot's very big. 2,050 pounds in the center. River card to decide everything, or will it? 7s are still high.
Check.
Check.
Check. Showdown, please.
He slowed it down, hit the brakes hard, and 2 7s will win over 2 6s. Pot goes to Paul Davis, and Sugars, Simon, may have done good there. He might have just dumped off chips if he had bet on the river.
Well, yes, Jesse, but to be honest with you, he should have raised pre-flop. He would have just won it there and then. And this is one weakness in his game. He's limping in with hands that really, at this stage, short-handed, when you're chip leader, you should be raising. Just make a raise 2 or 3 times the big blind, get rid of these weak hands in the blinds and pick up the pot and continue to stealthily build your chips. Twice he's made this mistake and twice he's paid for it. New chip leader, Paul Davis, 3,650, clear chip leader now. Darren on his left has 3,075, and Gary and Sean and John have around about 2,400. This is very evenly matched.
Sugar's under the gun. Does he want to go again?
Call.
Another limp in. 150.
Pass.
And his Sugar's in... Oh, no. I was going to say, is he in
Pass.
danger of playing too loose? But he's set a trap, hasn't he, Simon? If somebody takes this as a sign of weakness after seeing the last hand,
Call.
then they are going to get repooped.
Thank you.
Well, as it happens, he couldn't be in a better position here, Jesse. But really, again, I mean, you should be raising with these hands short-handed.
3-way here.
3 players.
It is the limp in and the 2 blinds, and that's nothing
Check.
apparent. Gary Manning in the...
Oh, wow, look at this. This is why you should be raising short-handed. You've allowed the blinds to see a flop. You've been called by a king 4 and a king 5. You are in great shape pre-flop before the flop with ace king suited. But now look, you don't know where you are,
250.
and you're sitting there with 2 overcards and the nut flush draw. How would you play this hand?
I didn't even see that. It is a flush draw. 4 clubs for John Sugars. He's had so many flush draws tonight, has yet to hit one. What is he going to do?
Well, he's probably going to move all in.
Call.
He's
Call.
just called. Can he get away from this?
Pass.
Well, the bet's only 250. The pot 950 now.
Do you know what? If Gary Manning had checked there, as I would have done, he probably would have got all those chips. Of course, a club could come.
Here's the turn.
2 players.
That could be a very dangerous card for John Sugars if he thinks